2021, Sega Design took the GPHG award for the challenge category. That was for a watch called the Blue Planet. It was made out of titanium. They took basically half the Earth and put it on the dial and made that the hour hand. Fast forward to 2024 and they are introducing the second version of the Blue Planet. This is an upgraded version of their original design. So this gets improvements in a number of different ways, and I'm going to go through all the differences in the video. So let's take a hands-on look at the version 2 of the Blue Planet from Sega Design. And here's the watch. This is the titanium version. This is the generation 2 of the Blue Planet. There are some subtle differences between this and the version 1. However, they make a pretty big impact. One of the changes I think is a very important change, and I will show you that towards the end of the video. But one of the biggest changes here is the globe at the center. It is more domed than the previous version. The previous version almost was like a pancake on the dial. This sits more like a half circle on the dial. You're also getting a better dome to that sapphire crystal because of that, because you are getting more height on that dome. Also, the continents, the land masses that are engraved or embossed into that globe are more defined. So it's a little bit more detailed as well. So when you look closely at this dial, and if you own this watch, you will look closely at this dial, you'll notice it's a little bit more detailed than the previous version. You still use it as the hour hand. So right there is a compass rose. That is the hour hand pointing to a track that tells you what time it is, basically. You have a minute's wheel that spins when you change the time. That's it. It's actually a very simple concept that looks really cool. And there are brands out there that do something similar to this. Trilobe is one that comes to mind, and they use discs instead of hands, and they are very expensive watches. Considering what you're getting here, this actually is a very good price. We'll talk about price towards the end of this video. They make this in titanium and stainless steel, so there are two different prices. We'll talk about both at the end of the video. Now, you do have these two rings inside of the case, inside of that dome sapphire crystal on the perimeter of that globe. They have increased the size of the indices on both of those rings by 105%. So it's a little bit easier to tell the time. That's one of the complaints that people had about the original version as well. It was a little bit hard to tell the time. I didn't really have that problem. I thought it was pretty easy to tell the time on the watch. However, I believe that a lot of people did complain about that, and I heard a lot of that in the comments in the videos that I did for the original Blue Planet. And I reviewed two different versions on my channel, the titanium version and the ceramic version. Both beautiful watches, and this is a beautiful watch as well. Obviously very, very similar in appearance. This gets a different movement from those other two watches. Those watches got an ETA clone. It was somewhat of a small movement that they put into the case. It made a lot of sense. It looked really good. It was an ETA clone. I'm not sure what brand it was. They never really gave that information. However, they have changed the movement inside here, and now it is getting an 8 series Miyota movement, or at least that's what I believe it is. They don't give that information on their website, but I believe it is a 8 series Miyota movement. So that means you are getting a very reliable movement inside this watch that does hack and does hand wind. So that is definitely an improvement, because if that other movement ever broke, I'm not sure about components for it. This is a very serviceable movement. It's very readily available for watchmakers to get parts for or swap out if they need to. They also made some improvements around wearability. One of those is in the strap. They put a beautiful deployant buckle on this watch. It is very low profile, and I have to say, from a lot of the micro brands that I see, this has got to be one of the best buckles that I have seen on any micro brand. It's really nice. Very low profile, like I said, 2 push buttons right here It's opens up very easily. It's very, very thin and really nicely made. I'll do plenty of close-ups of it, but this is actually very impressive. You can see it's really not thick at all. Really nicely finished. Overall, very, very impressive. Also, they updated the lugs a little bit, so they say it's a little bit more comfortable for you to wear. I'll throw up a picture of it. It looks like it's just a little bit deeper into the case, or at least the location of where the strap attaches to the case is a little bit deeper. You still get a screwed-in case back. You get to see the movement from the case back. It also says that it's titanium on there and that you get 30 meters of water resistance. Also, you get a sapphire crystal on the case back, which of course is great. And you can see that Miyota movement, which of course isn't the best looking movement in the world, but really you're not going to be looking at the movement on this watch. You're definitely going to be looking at the dial. Measurements on this comes in at around 45 millimeters. It's a circle, so the lug to lug is also 45 millimeters. But since they put that strap so far into the case, so it wears a lot smaller than a 45 millimeter case. I would say it wears like a 42 millimeter case or something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood. Because it wears like a pebble, I think it's really comfortable. It's also on the thicker side, 16 millimeters thick, somewhere around there, almost 17 millimeters. That's because of that dome sapphire crystal on both sides, really, because you do get a slightly domed sapphire crystal on the back because it looks like a pebble. When you turn this on its side, it looks almost like a UFO. I really love it. And the side profile is probably one of the best looks on this watch because you see that domed sapphire crystal, and then you see that domed earth. It looks really cool from the side. It almost looks like the earth is rising from the case. It's just beautiful. It's a really good looking dial. On my wrist is a watch that I have not taken off my wrist since I got it. Well, I have taken it off a few times to wear a watch that my sons got me, but I have worn this a lot since its arrival. This is the Maran Musi Sport GMT, or GMT Sport. It's just a really weird watch that I really like. I made a review about it about 2 days ago. There are a lot of comments about this watch being very, very weird. Some people think it's ugly. I don't, but hey, it's your opinion. You're allowed to have your opinion. So I definitely understand when you're coming from. Some people definitely can see this as an ugly watch. Some people, like me, think it's a good looking watch. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Quickly, let me show you the Blue Earth on my 7.5 inch wrist. And there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. You can see it does not wear like a 45 millimeter watch. It wears like a pebble. So it kind of wears like, you know, a tuna or something like that from Seiko, but you get these soft edges to it. It's not like a dive watch. It's not incredibly thick either. I think it looks great on my wrist, and you can see it wears pretty thin to the wrist, even though it's on the thicker side. That's because of the shape of the case. In general, just wears thinner. I think it's a beautiful watch, and it was already comfortable. I guess they've made a few things to make it a little bit more comfortable. I really love the buckle on here. You can see how low profile that is. It almost looks like a regular Tang buckle on here. That's what it looks like. However, it's a full deployant clasp. That's pretty awesome. And here is the last upgrade that they made to this watch. It is a very welcome upgrade. They have added Lume. So they have added Lume to the hour hand, which is of course that globe. You're not getting any Lume on the planet itself. It would be cool if they did something like that. Arnold & Son did something like that with their Globetrotter, I think it's called, and they lit up some of the oceans that are around the continents. That would look really cool on this watch, but there you go. I mean, they did a good job. All of the indices are lumed. You could definitely tell time in the dark with this now. It's not incredibly lumed, but it's enough to see in the dark for a pretty good period of time. I think it looks great, and I'm very happy that they did it. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. The improvements are slight, but if they made major changes to this watch, I think it would be, you know, not too wise, because it is a winner as it is. This is a really cool watch that I think a lot of people really like, the Generation 1. It's a fun, interesting watch that kind of reminds you of like a mini MB&F or something like that for a price that's not astronomical. So if you want this version in stainless steel, they make it in stainless steel. That's $1,199. If you want this titanium version, it's $200 more. So it's $1,399. It's a lot of watch for that price. You're getting a titanium case and a very, very intricate dial that I am sure is hard to make. But tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Is that price justified? It is on the higher end of what they were charging previously for the version 1. I think they've gone up a few $100s. But again, everything has gone up a few $100s, so it kind of makes sense. Manufacturing this is probably more difficult. The Lume adds money and all of that stuff. Tell me what you think, though, in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. I'll put a link to this watch down in the description below. Definitely check it out if you are interested. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.